Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I said hello everyone really quietly there. Today I want to do a comic review. We're going to talk about The Sheriff of Babylon by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. This is the Deluxe Hardcover edition. Obviously this is just the dust jacket. I like to take it off in order to keep the book in good quality. We'll have a look at that in a sec. I have previously reviewed Mr. Miracle, which I've got 2 copies of here. So that's the soft cover paperback edition, which is the first one I got, which I absolutely loved. I'll put a link to my review of this version at the end of this. So this is the Deluxe Hardcover edition, which is absolutely amazing, and I love it. And I did a whole video review of it ages ago. It's done really well, so check that out as well. So this is an earlier one. I believe this series from 2016, and is one of the early collaborations between Tom King and Mitch Gerads. So this is the big deluxe edition. I brought this recently, and it seems to have gone up in popularity recently as well for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but Tom King himself commented on it on Twitter recently. And it's here's the reverse of the dust sleeve. It's a Vertigo title, 12 issues, and it's very much an adult comic. And not in the sense that it's overly violent. I mean, it is a bit, and a lot of people think adult comics that swearing, violence, etc. But it's more just that it deals with adult themes. It's set in Baghdad in 2003 in Iraq, and I would assume it is based off of Tom King's own experiences, because he was a CIA operative in Iraq in that time, before he became a comic book writer, which is a very unique story. But I'm guessing that it's not that precise to what his real life is like, because I guess you can't really talk about CIA stuff, can you? But yeah, I won't talk too much about the story, because I imagine if people are watching this, they might be thinking about picking it up, so I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. And also, I didn't 100% get the story the first time around, and I'm going to have to read it again at some point. And that's not a knock on the storytelling, that's just me. Sometimes I really struggle to follow stuff these days because I'm getting older, and attention spans are rubbish nowadays. But it's not an overly convoluted story, I feel, which for some reason I didn't quite get it to start with. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. I couldn't fully tell you what happened, but also I did enjoy reading it. I kind of read like a volume of an issue a day kind of thing. So we've got the book underneath here. So this is the actual cover. So you've got the spine there, you've got the cover art there, which is of the main character, and then you've got the reverse art there. The covers are by John Paul Leon, who passed away recently, which is really sad. He's a tremendous artist, and I recommend looking up some of his work. But like I say, I won't go into too much detail, but we've got the interior there, a nice design there. And then we've got an intro by Tom King himself, and then each individual issue has the original cover art there, like you see on the front of this book, and then it's split up into chapters. So obviously you've got part 1 there, and that's where the story starts. I like it in graphic novels when they split up the chapters, but sometimes they just reprint them as all one thing, and I like it because you can read a bit of it and then move on from there. You've got a big double page spread to start off there. My lighting's a bit weird today because I'm experimenting with stuff, so if you can't see it very well, I do apologise. That's just me being weird. I will say I can see the difference between Mitch Gerads' art in this as compared to Mr. Miracle, for example. I feel like it's probably changed a bit in a few years, but you can see that standard 9-panel page spread that Tom King loves to use. That I think they even joked about it on Twitter themselves recently. But there are quite a few, like I said, it's quite violent in places, but there's quite a few sort of big images that are either like one whole page or like a double splash page and that kind of thing. And it's all very kind of muted colours as well, kind of gives it a real kind of realistic kind of gritty vibe. There's no superheroes or stuff in this. This is just a story set very much in the real world, and how much of it is real we don't really know as such. But you can see things like that. Just different people being interviewed and stuff. And what I think Tom King and Mitch Gerads do very well in their stories, and a lot of people criticise them for, I think, is that they say that, for example, they'll use like the 9-panel spread, and there'll be a lot of it where it's just the same person's face, and there won't be as much dialogue. Say they'll speak in the first panel and it will show their reaction. And people kind of think that's lazy, but I think there's a real art to storytelling without, in a comic, without saying anything. Like, I think sometimes you need that panel in between at least to kind of show the character and have that moment of silence. I think it's quite important. Maybe spoilers, but I mean, I'll try and keep it safe. Here's a really cool little bit. So that's the last panel there, and then that's the cover of the next issue there. So I think that's a pretty cool little shot that shows like full page like art, stuff like that, which is really nice. But yeah, that's it. I think this is a really good book. It's really quite memorable, and like I said, I need to go over it again to fully understand it. There is one bit in the middle where the main character and the other character have a conversation in like this place, this building that's been bombed, and there's like a swimming pool in there, and it's just them having this remarkably profound conversation that's probably, you know, you don't hear that often in a comic. You think action, but it was probably my favourite part, and it was just two characters talking about kind of their lives in some respects. I think there's some pretty grim parts in here. It doesn't shy away from certain things, but I say it has been picking up popularity recently, and I definitely think it's worth a look. I feel like when I go back over it again, I'll go back to Mr. Miracle as well. I feel like I'll appreciate it all the more, but at the same time, it's still kind of, you know, maybe made me feel things along the way, sort of thing, which is what matters. You know, when you're consuming this art, you wanna feel something. So I won't show any spoilers, but I'll show sort of the back of the book. It's got a few extra bits, not as many as I was expecting. The Mr. Miracle one had a lot more extras, but this wasn't as expensive. So, but yeah, you've got Chris, the main character, and Sophia, one of the other main characters. That's sort of the preliminary sketches by Mitch Gerads and John Paul Leon. So yeah, there's some of the preliminary cover art as well, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I mean that's about it really. You've just got kind of cover art and preliminary sketches in the back, so it's not as much as you get in the Mr. Miracle edition, but it's still pretty cool. But yeah, I'd recommend picking it up. I think it's a pretty good book. I probably don't hold it quite as high as Mr. Miracle, but this came quite a bit before. So yeah, that's my review of The Sheriff of Babylon by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. Do let me know your thoughts if you've got the book, or if you're thinking about getting it, or any other of their works together. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.